Take me just a moment to get us set up on YouTube, and then I'll give you the go ahead.
As Christina's doing that, you all should say good morning to Christina Dyer. She's our committee researcher, and she's going to be helping us through the Zoom and as we go through our sessions this year.
Hi, everyone. Okay, you're all set.
Okay, thank you, Christina. As chair of the House Municipal and County Government Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. This is a committee orientation meeting. Please note there is no physical location for members of the public to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that all members of the committee and select legislative staff have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the Zoom electronic meeting platform. And the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in the meeting by the Zoom platform or by telephone. All necessary access information has been made available in the House calendar and through the electronic calendar on the General Court website. The notice for this meeting complies with House rules and RSA 91A. Anyone who has a problem accessing the meeting should call 271-3600 or email hcs@leg.state.nh.us. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Christina Dyer, our committee researcher, will be the staff assisting us. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting will be done using the roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. Normally this in the future will be done by the committee clerk, but I'm going to do it today. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there's anybody in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the right to know law.
And use our influence to create positive change in our community. Now, as for Keller, the 38-year-old is now charged with obstructing law enforcement, knowingly entering.
Please go on mute if you're not.
Disorderly conduct. Trace?
Christina Coleman, live for us in Los Angeles. Christina, thank you. We had an impeachment.
Christina, do you have the ability to put everybody on mute? Oh,
I just did it. We're good.
thank you. All right, when I call your name, just answer here or present, and also where you are and if there's anybody in the room with you. Representative Piemonte. You have to unmute yourself when I call on your name.
Yes, I'm here by myself.
Representative Stavis.
Present and alone.
Representative Porter.
Present, and a cat might wander in.
Okay. Representative Maggiore.
Present, and I'm alone in my office.
Representative McDonald. Representative McDonald.
I am present at my house and alone.
Okay. Representative Trelevin.
I am present and my cat's here.
Okay. Representative Gilman. Representative Gilman. Representative Tripp.
Present and alone.
Representative Guthrie. Representative Guthrie. Representative Lascelles.
I'm here in Litchfield with all my friends. I have no friends.
Representative McBride. Representative McBride. Representative Melvin.
Here by myself.
Representative Ayer.
Here alone.
Representative Power. Diane.
Yes, here I'm alone in my office. However, I have 2 family members in other parts of the house.
Okay, and by the way, if for those folks I have not met yet, if I mispronounce your name, I apologize in advance. Please correct me how you want me to say it. Representative Majapudi?
Representative Manjipudi, you did it close. You. I'm at home by myself.
Representative Van? Representative Van, you have to unmute yourself. She can't unmute. Okay.
Got it. Got it. I'm on a phone because my computer stopped working. I am here and I am by myself.
Okay. Thank you. Representative Klee.
Sorry.
I am here. I am currently alone in this room, but my husband will be walking around, and I have 2 greyhounds that will make a presentation at some point. They always do.
Okay. Representative Gallagher.
I am here and I'm alone.
Okay, and I'm Representative Dolan, and I'm alone also in Londonderry. Now, let me go back in case somebody joined us late. Representative McBride, are you here? Representative Guthrie? Or Representative Gilman? Okay. Just for introduction purposes, Representative Piemonte is the vice chair, and Representative McDonald is our clerk. So in the future, the clerk will be taking roll, not only for attendance, but also for a vote. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, although this may seem a little awkward, I'd like to say the pledge. So if you could, if I could ask you to stand, and if you don't have a flag that's visible to you, I'll hold one up and we can say the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Like I said, I know that may have been a little awkward, but I think it's important. So what I'd like to do first is go through each of the members and have them.
Stop. Sorry.
Go through each of the members and have them introduce themselves and say a little bit about themselves. Please keep it short, and hopefully many of us are returnees on this committee, but some are new and some are also new to the legislature. So this is a good chance to introduce yourself and help us get to know each other. So let me start. My name is Tom Dolan. This year, I'm going to be the chairman of the committee. This is my second term in the legislature. I've been in municipal government as a town councilor or budget committee member for about 20 years here in Londonderry. I have 2 grown children, and they're often married, having babies themselves. And I look forward to our relationship developing over the next couple of years and enjoying this assignment. This is, I found, a very fulfilling assignment, and we have a lot of direct impacts to our home communities. And with that, turn it over to Tony.
Okay, my name's Tony Piemonte. This is my second year in the municipal and county. I come from Sandown, that's Rockingham District 4, and that's where I live, and I'm retired, so plenty of time.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Representative Stavis. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Good morning. I'm Laurel Stavis. I'm in my second term in the House and my second term on municipal and county government. I am a longtime member of the Lebanon, New Hampshire Planning Board. Chair of Listen Community Services Board of Directors, and also a member of the West Lebanon Revitalization Committee. So municipal affairs kind of are in my wheelhouse, and I love this committee. And I'm looking forward to serving on it again.
Thank you. Representative Porter, who by the way is the ranking member. Those of you not familiar with that terminology, the ranking member is the member of the committee that has been selected by the minority leadership to be the senior member on the committee.
Good morning. I'm Marjorie Porter. This is my 6th term in the House and my 4th term on municipal and county, one of which I served as the chair, another I served as the clerk. So I've been here a while. I'm a retired teacher. I've taught in public schools and private schools and ran my own kindergarten preschool for about 12 years or so before I retired. I'm retired now, gratefully, and homebound. And I'm looking forward to this year. It's a very nonpartisan committee, and that's what makes it so good to be here.
Thank you. Representative Maggiore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Jim Maggiore, representing Rockingham District 22, which is Northampton. This is my 2nd term in the House and second term on municipal and county government. And echo what many others have said, I truly enjoyed my 1st term on municipal and county government. We have a good group of people, got along well, and I think we were very productive, which is important to me because I also serve as I'm in my 4th term as a selectman in Northampton. From which I also serve on the Planning Board, the Heritage Commission, the Water Commission. So municipal affairs are very, very important to me. And I am also a board member on the New Hampshire Municipal Association. So I look forward to working with all of you and hope for great progress this year. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. And our clerk, Representative McDonald. Make sure you're off mute, John. You're still showing on mute. There you go.
How about now, okay? Good morning, everyone. My name is John McDonald. I live up in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. This is my 2nd term in the legislature, my 2nd term on municipal and county government. I think it's a great committee. Have a lot of good folks, and we all seem to get along, which is great. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Representative Trelevin.
Good morning again, all. This is my 4th term in the legislature and my 4th term on municipal and county government. My profession is real estate. I'm a real estate broker. So municipal affairs, county affairs, land is beneath all, is very important to me. I've really enjoyed working on this committee. I'm the parent of 2. I'm the grandparent of 2. And I look forward to getting to know some of you better, and those of you who I know already more deeply. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Tripp.
Good morning. I'm a Vietnam vet, spent 8 years in the Navy, and decided there was a better way to live than that. This is my 2nd term. I was interrupted by 1 term. I too am a municipal and county veteran. I served 1 term on previously. I've been a town councilor in Derry for 6 years, hopefully going on 9. I'm also on the planning board and other sundry boards. It seems like once you get busy in municipal government, then they drag you into everything. So I enjoyed my last term, and I hope I enjoy this term. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Lascelles.
Yes, my name is Rich Lascelles. This is my 3rd term in the House. I'm a 10-year veteran of the Navy submarine service. I have been serving in my first term as a selectman here in Litchfield, Hillsborough 20. Previously, I was on the State and Federal Affairs and Veterans Affairs Committee. I enjoyed that, and I look forward to my service here in this committee.
Thanks. Representative Melvin. Representative Melvin, take yourself off mute first.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Representative Charles Melvin from Newton, District 15. I spent 30 years on the planning board. I spent 15 years on the zoning board of adjustments. I'm a second term selectman, and I'm a member of the school board.
Thanks. Representative Ayer.
Hi, my name is Paul Ayer. It's my first term. I represent Raymond District 3, and I'm retired.
Thank you. Representative Power.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. My name is Diane Power. I am a freshman state rep. I've lived in New Hampshire for 32 years and in Brookline for 27 years. I represent Hillsborough County District 26, Brookline, and Mason. I have 2 adult children. Formerly, I was the chair and member of the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District Budget Committee, and I look forward to serving with you all on this committee. Thank you.
Thanks. Representative Mangiaputi.
Namaste. I am fifth term in state legislation. I've served previously on school board, and I'm on Hillsborough County Executive Board. And I've served in Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee to first 2 terms, and State, Federal, and Veterans Affairs the second 2 terms. And this is my first term. I'm so looking forward to being part of this committee. And I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I have consulting companies, and this is public service is my passion. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Representative Van. Representative Van.
Hi, yeah, I had to unmute myself. I'm Ivy Van. I live in Peterborough. This is my 4th term in the House. I served initially on Fish and Game because that was the day of the week that I could come. It was fascinating. I served on Transportation for 1 term, and last term I served on Public Works and Highways. I'm a certified urban planner certified by the American Planning Association. And I am working right now with the American Association of Retired Persons and the Congress for the New Urbanism to do some work for jurisdictions across the country, making their places better for everyone, particularly as it involves increasing housing accessibility. And I'm happy to be here.
Great, thank you. Representative Klee.
Thank you. Hi, I'm from Nashua. This is my 3rd term. My previous 2 terms, I was on the State Fed, State Fed Relations and Veterans Affairs. Last year, I served as the chair for that committee. I'm retired from 26 years of working with the Department of Veterans Affairs. I have no children, but I'm owned by 2 greyhounds. I do a lot of volunteer work with the United Way, and I'm also a 2-term alderman here in Nashua. Thank you.
Okay. And last but not least, Representative Gallagher.
Hi, I'm Eric Gallagher. I live in Ward 6 here in Concord, which is Merrimack County District 15. I live in public housing, and so that made me interested in housing as an issue. And I heard that this committee is the one that deals with housing issues. So that's why I put it as one of my choices. And this is my first term.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Dolan, we did have some other additional reps show up. We have Representative McBride and Representative Gilman, who have also arrived.
Okay, Representative Gilman, we're at a point where we're introducing ourselves, so why don't you go right ahead?
Sorry for being late, Mr. Chair. I had car trouble. My name's Julie Gilman. I'm a representative from Rockingham District 18, which is the town of Exeter. This is my third term and my third term on this committee. And I'm also a select woman in the town of Exeter, so this is a good match for me.
Great. Welcome back. Representative McBride. You can unmute yourself and jump right in.
Unmute. There you go. Is that better?
That's good.
Yeah, Everett McBride, 25-year veteran of the Salem Board of Selectmen, 5 years on the Budget Committee, second term in the House, first term on the municipal and county government, and look forward to making things happen, I guess.
Very good. The last person that did the roll call that wasn't here was Representative Joe Guthrie. Did he come? Is he here yet?
He is not.
Okay. Thank you. All right. For the rest of the meeting, let me just kind of run through the agenda for you. I should have done this at first, but we're going to have for the next 25, 30 minutes, we're going to have a couple of presentations from what I'll call lobbyist groups, one of them the NHMA and one of them DuPont Group, just as an example of what you're likely to hear during our regular hearings. And I've asked them to keep their presentations short and topical. And then when that's over, we'll excuse them, and then we'll get into some of the nitty-gritty of what the expectations are for hearings and executive sessions and how those are going to work and so forth. And then I'm going to try to get you all out of here by 11:15, 11:30 at the latest, so you can go get lunch. All right, so at this point, do we have NHMA queued up, Christina?
Yes, I believe they're ready to go.
Okay, go right ahead.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting NHMA to present this morning. I hope you can all hear and see me okay. I wanted to give a brief overview, introduce the NHMA Government Affairs staff, brief overview of what NHMA is, what we do, and then turn it over to my colleagues for sort of a very quick crash course in municipal government, overview of municipal government. So my name is Margaret Burns. I'm the executive director at NHMA. I've been with NHMA about 6 years, 2 years as executive director, and prior to that, I was a staff attorney here at NHMA. Cordell Johnston, who is also here with us this morning, is our Government Affairs Counsel. He's been with NHMA now for 17 years and was previously in private practice with Orrin Reno, a law firm in Concord. Nate Grays, our Municipal Services Counsel, also in the meeting, has been with NHMA for about 2 years. Prior to that, he was a prosecutor in Northern Grafton County. And finally, the newest addition to our team is Becky Benvenuti, our Government Finance Advisor. She's been with NHMA only for about 8 months, but she was previously the Town Clerk Tax Collector in Newmarket and also the Revenue Administrator and Tax Collector in the city of Portsmouth. And so we are a small staff, a staff of 9. It's important to note that we are an individual, separate, nonprofit organization. We are not a department or section of the state. We are governed by a 25-member board of directors. They are all municipal officials from our member municipalities from across the state, from towns large and towns small, cities large. We do have all 234 cities and towns as members of NHMA. We do not represent school districts. And although we have the cities and towns as members of NHMA, and although our advocacy is entirely on behalf of cities and towns, we do have associate members. So we do have counties, village districts, and regional planning commissions who are associate members of our organization. Our funding is primarily from the dues that our members pay to be members of the organization, but we do receive some other revenue through our publications and the workshops and training events that we put on for local officials. We are strictly nonpartisan. We are prohibited from supporting a candidate or a party by statute. The services that we provide, sort of two main categories. We provide the government affairs and advocacy services, but we also provide legal services. So our members are able to contact us and get legal advice and guidance on matters related to municipal government and their role in municipal government. We also provide, as I mentioned, training programs on performing your duties as a municipal official, as well as publications and educational materials. Our government affairs staff lobbies only on matters directly affecting municipalities. And all of the matters that we lobby on are based on our legislative policies and principles, which are adopted by our members every 2 years. And we just adopted our most recent policies and principles in October 2020 for this biennium. Our staff does not direct policy, and I think that's important. So the positions that we take on certain legislation is based on those principles and policies that our members adopted and directed us to take positions on. Our primary concerns when it comes to our advocacy, unsurprisingly, include unfunded mandates or any legislation that increases municipal costs, state preemption of already existing municipal authority, as well as any legislation that would make local government more difficult or more efficient. And so generally we are here and in other committees supporting legislation that enables local government to operate more efficiently, to save money, to serve its citizens. So that's an overview of NHMA, who we are and what we do. And I'd like to just turn it over to Cordell and Nate to talk a little bit about municipal government.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you all again. Those of you who I've seen before, and nice to meet those of you who I haven't seen before. I'm Cordell Johnston. For those of you who don't know me, I'm NHMA's Government Affairs Counsel. And Nate and I are going to give you an insanely short presentation about municipal government. And forgive us if we are being too simple. I know some of you have extensive experience in municipal government and you know all this stuff, but some of you are relatively new to municipal government. So as I say, this is going to be extremely brief and extremely elementary. The basic question that I think we all need to understand is, what is a municipality? And very simply, a municipality is a political subdivision of the state. It's an area that has been incorporated by the state and has been given authority to act. There are other political subdivisions: counties, school districts, village districts, but we represent municipalities. And municipalities, there are two types. There are cities and towns, and those are who we represent. There is no such thing in New Hampshire as a township. There's many years ago, a member of this committee frequently talked about townships, and it always made me cringe. There's no such thing. We have cities and towns. And Nate, in a few minutes, is going to talk about the basic difference between cities and towns. Much of what this committee deals with, or pretty much everything this committee deals with, are the laws governing political subdivisions. And a very fundamental thing that everyone needs to understand is that New Hampshire is not a home rule state, which means that cities and towns do not have inherent authority to make laws. They have only the authority that the state gives them in the form of enabling statutes. So, for example, there's a statute that says a city or town can adopt a zoning ordinance. Without that statute, a municipality could not enact a zoning ordinance. And most cities and towns have adopted zoning ordinances. There are a few that have not. There's a statute that says you can have a police department. You're not required to, and there are a few towns that don't have police departments. There's statutes that say that cities and towns can lay out roads. In the absence of a statute like that, you can't do it. For example, if a city or town wanted to require drivers or passengers to wear a seatbelt, they can't do that. They don't have that authority. They don't have the authority, for example, to impose an income tax or a sales tax. And so a lot of times in this committee, we're dealing with issues where there's a question: does the municipality have the authority to do this? Should we give them this authority? Should we take away this authority? Should we modify it in some respect? And you'll hear us often talking about a statute being enabling. It enables municipalities to adopt certain ordinances or to take certain actions. There are also certain statutes that create mandates. These are things that cities and towns must do. We don't have any choice about them. And a few examples are that municipalities must conduct state elections. When every 2 years, when the state has an election, the municipalities are in charge of administering those, and they have to do it, and they have to follow state law in doing it. Municipalities must provide for disposal of solid waste in some way or another, whether it's by having a transfer station, collecting trash and hauling it to a transfer station or a landfill somewhere. In some manner, municipalities must provide for solid waste. They must provide assistance to the indigent, what is commonly referred to as local welfare. And there are a number of other mandates, that things that cities and towns are required to do. We generally like to resist the creation of any additional state mandates, especially if they are going to require municipalities to spend money, unless the state is going to provide the money to implement those mandates. So we will be sometimes in this committee and sometimes in other committees lobbying against things that would impose additional mandates, and especially expensive mandates on municipalities. And another thing is preemption, where the state has given municipalities authority to do something, but then take some of that authority away. For example, I talked about zoning. Municipalities are enabled to adopt zoning ordinances. However, the state has partially preempted that. For example, the state says that a municipality, although you can regulate the use of land, you can't prohibit agriculture with your zoning ordinance. That is preempted. You can't prohibit people from having accessory dwelling units. That is preempted. So those are some of the things we'll be talking about regularly in this committee: enabling statutes, mandates, preemption, the division of authority between the state and the cities and towns. And now Nachin is just going to talk for a few minutes about the forms of municipal government, the forms of cities and towns.
Well, thank you, Cordell. And as mentioned, I'm Nate Grays. So one of the complications with what all of you are going to do over the next couple of years is deal with the forms of municipal government. There are 13 cities and 221 towns in the state. And I guess to begin with, it's good to begin with an analogy. So typically a town consists of the legislative body, so they're the voters of the town, and then a governing body, which is often the select board. But there are variations. You might have a charter town, which has eliminates the Board of Selectmen, and you have essentially the equivalent of a city council. And on the city side of things, often what you have is you have the voters elect a body, either the alderman or the city council, and they serve as the legislative body, much as you do for the state. So they make the determinations about what the rules should be, the ordinances, the policies, and then that's implemented by some sort of administrative officer. That could be a mayor, or it could be a mayor, city manager type situation. Now, because there are all these options, you often have to deal with the nuances of how this functions. But the good news is when we looked up where everyone on this committee came from, you have at least one member from each type of local government. So there is that expertise on this committee, which I think will be very useful because you'll be very familiar. You're obviously very familiar with the places you represent. Well, probably one of the other complicating factors that you'll hear a lot of talk about, because it is often at issue, is the division between SB2 towns, or what's called SB2 towns, and traditional towns. And so just to summarize, traditional towns have a town meeting where the select board and other local officials are voted on by ballot. And then they have a business session afterwards. And the business session determines things like the town budget and other items. SB2 towns are different in that they begin with a deliberative session. And then at that session is when all of the warrant articles are debated. So basically everything that's going to come up, all the legislation. And then they have their official ballot voting day where everything is voted on. So, whether it's a citizen petition or whether it's something the governing body wants to discuss, it's all voted on by ballot. And one of the things that has been a big issue in the past couple of years has been town meeting postponement. Obviously, we're in the middle of COVID, so that has been a big issue as local officials have really struggled to make sure that as we go forward into town meeting season that they can do so safely. And so I imagine you'll hear from us again on what the unfortunately named new SB2 for 2021, which involves sort of postponing town meeting due to COVID. That's really a very brief summary of the types of forms of government. Cordell, I don't know if you want to add anything else on.
I don't want to add anything other than to say we have some background, some information, some publications that we can make available to the committee, and some papers on that describe the different kinds of forms of government, and I will email those to the committee members and to the committee assistant.
Well, thank you. Are we ready to move on from the NHMA, or are there any final comments from them? Okay, Christina, could you please introduce the DuPont Group?
Absolutely. So we have Commissioner Wendy Piper, Commissioner Tom Tombarello, and then we have Kate Horgan as well from the DuPont Group.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Dolan. My name is Kate Horgan. I do work at the DuPont Group, but part of my duties is I serve as the Executive Director for the New Hampshire Association of Counties, which is why we are here today. So I'm going to turn it over briefly to Commissioner Piper and Commissioner Tombarello, and then I will be back to give you kind of an overview of what the association does. So Commissioner Piper, take it away.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us, and thank you as well for the work that you do on this committee. This committee's work is very important to us. I'm a Grafton County Commissioner, and I'm the president of the New Hampshire Association of Counties, which is our trade association. Oh, there goes the, something just changed. What we want to do today is introduce you to our organization and also briefly describe the function of county government. As Kate just explained, Grafton County, or will explain, has some very important duties. One of those is the delivery of long-term services and supports. That is care for our elders and also folks people who have developmental disabilities, people who might need to be in our facilities. This is one of the most expensive obligations of New Hampshire taxpayers. So your committee is an important one, along with others. We'll have representatives here often from any of our affiliates. So our affiliates are registers of deeds, nursing home administrators, and they'll come into the State House and testify on the impact of any given legislation on county government and county, in other words, New Hampshire taxpayers. And I just want to conclude by asking you to please reach out to us at any time, especially Kate or Tom, the vice chair, or myself, and also, of course, as Latha pointed out, she's on the her own county executive committee. Hi, Latha. Please talk with your own county officials as well. Thank you.
Well, thanks.
And Commissioner Tamburello.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Tamburello. I'm a commissioner here in the great county of Rockingham, where I'm pleased to say that we did testing on Monday and have no COVID cases in the nursing home or any staff. So we really battled over here in Rockingham. But we're doing a good job to keep it out of the nursing home. So I'm on my 9th year, and I was just voted back in as the chairman of the board. Second time I'll be the chair in 9 years. And your vice chairman lives in my hometown. Tony, Representative Piamonte, lives in the great town of Sandown, where I'm also a selectman for 14 years. So I'm thrilled to get back into the association as the vice president. I was also the president of that group about 4 years ago. So I thought I'd follow Wendy's footsteps and go forward. But I can only tell you that, you know, NHAC and its membership are available to all of you folks. And I'm one commissioner. If you call me or email me, I promise you, you're going to get a call back. I see that there's a lot of folks on your group that are actually from Rockingham County. So they've watched me through the executive committee and seen that I'm all in. So I just applaud you folks. And if there's anything I can do in any way, shape, or form, I'm definitely going to be there for you. And I will, like I said, return your call. And I thank you folks for doing everything. It's such a big part of county government work that you folks have a great committee like that. And I've heard nothing but good things about a guy named Representative Tom Dolan, and he has a great first name also. So we just got a new commissioner, Commissioner Chiricello, got elected, and he spoke very highly of Representative Dolan. So, and I just thank you all, and anything that we can do. NHAC is a great group, and we hope to make it bigger and better with Wendy's leadership. So I thank everybody.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. And I have shared this PowerPoint presentation with Christina to share with the rest of the committee as well, in case you want to read it in more detail. But there is also a lot of information listed on our website, which I put on the last slide. So what is county government? So county government, there are 10 counties in the state. All 10 are members of the association. We are a multi-branch form of government. So the county commissioners, there are 3 in each county, represent the executive branch. If you haven't been told already, you're the legislative branch of the county government, also known as the county delegate. You guys are responsible for the budget appropriations, while the commissioners handle day-to-day activities. Some of our most expensive items that we deal with are long-term care, as Commissioner Piper mentioned, and corrections. And we are responsible under state law for funding long-term care and supports for those people who are Medicaid eligible, regardless of whether or not they are in our facilities or fall under the CFI, which is the Choices for Independence waiver. And those would be the members of your community who choose to stay at home. County corrections, we have people who are waiting pretrial or those who have been sentenced to less than a year as part of their sentencing. We also have, as Commissioner Piper mentioned, deeds, county attorneys, sheriffs, county treasurers under our functions. So these are our affiliates that we have. County budgets total more than $630 million in the state, and county government employs over 5,000 individuals. So we are one of the larger employers in the state. Some of the work that we do on the executive level and with state agencies includes the Department of Health and Human Services, particularly around Medicaid and the nursing homes, Department of Revenue Administration, which is the real estate transfer tax, and LCHIP. There's also what is called a bed tax that we pay on that all nursing home facilities pay. They pay a 5% bed tax to the state as part of a funding program. We work with the Department of Corrections, the Attorney General's Office, Police Standards and Training, and the County and State Finance Committee, which is a committee that has 6 members from DHHS, 6 members from county government, and two members of the House and 1 member of the Senate who deal with issues that come up where there might be disputes over interpretations of state law. So each county is governed by 3 commissioners, and they operate as the executive branch. They supervise all county departments, buildings, lands, personnel. They have budgetary oversight of all county expenditures and are responsible for day-to-day operations of the county. So what does the Association of Counties do? So we represent at the state government level all county employees. So whether that's nursing home employees, corrections employees, deeds employees, we want to be a resource for you guys and for our members. So we, in addition to the advocacy work that we do, provide training programs. We support intergovernmental relationships with state and municipal officials. We come before you on a regular basis to provide input on leadership, and we act as a clearinghouse for our members on information and best practices to make county government operate efficiently. So this is our leadership for 2021. You've met Commissioner Piper and Commissioner Tombarello. Our treasurer, Sue Collins, is from Coos County. Kathy Stacy is the Register of Deeds in Rockingham County. Commissioner Pappas is a commissioner from Hillsborough County. Commissioner Chuck Weed, he's now former commissioner, he's now become the county treasurer, is our immediate past president, and Chris Coates is the county administrator for Cheshire County and serves as our bylaws chair. My last slide, just if you're looking for more information or we can help you, here's our contact information. We're happy to help. I will say that Commissioner Piper did film a video earlier this year that includes a lot of this information, especially around your role as a delegate to the county. So if you're looking for more information, I would encourage you to go and check out that video. And we are happy to answer any questions you have now or later. So thank you so much, Commissioner Dolan, or Chairman Dolan, for letting us present today.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you to you and both the NHMA for keeping your presentations brief, which I know is difficult to do, but thank you for doing that, because we are about to transition in our meeting into what I'll call the sausage making of our committee. And so those of you who are our guests here, you're free as members of the public to listen in, or if you want to break from the committee and head off for an early lunch, go right ahead. Okay, that was,
Representative Dolan, excuse me for the interruption. Representative Joseph Guthrie has arrived.
oh, good. Welcome, Joe. Joe, would you take yourself off mute and just tell us a little bit about yourself? How long you've been a rep and what your experience has been, so we can all hear about you a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me now, John?
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm a state rep, as you know, in District Rockingham 13, which is Kingston and Hampstead. I'm also a long-term selectman in Hampstead, and my real old background comes from North Andover, Mass. I was on a school committee and a selectman there for over 19 years, and finally found New Hampshire when I got to be 60 years old and retired from AT&T. I've got 4 sons. I think I have 14 grandchildren and 13 great grandchildren. Probably one of the oldest guys outside of maybe Jim McKay. We fight over when our birthday was. We're both 91. Been on the Health and Human Services Committee for a number of years and really enjoyed that for the last 3 terms. And because I'm a selectman again, I served 9 years, and I went off. My wife got sick and I lost her, and then we came back. I'm happy to be on this committee and hope I can contribute. As I said, I lost my wife. I was lucky to, fortunate to find a lovely lady second time around. So we're enjoying our late retirement.
Well, thank you, Joe, and welcome. Okay, so like I mentioned, we're going to spend the rest of the meeting talking about really the sausage making of the committee. There are a lot of details. I'm going to try to skip some of these details. For example, the rules and expectations about how we do subcommittees. I don't think that's necessary to get into that today. When we have our first subcommittee, we can talk about things like that then. But I'm just going to give you an overview of what the expectations are and what the rules are, and where I have discretion and where I don't. And if you have questions during this, please exercise the raise your hand button down below on the bottom of your screen, and Christina will help me manage that. Okay, for one of the things that I'll be doing is, and we've been asked to do, is try to organize the bills that we're going to be reviewing by subject matter, and try to group bills together that relate to each other. So we'll be doing that, and that'll help when you think about the bills that we have in front of us, which are about somewhere between 40 and 50 at this point. Last time I checked, I counted up 39, but there was still several bills to be assigned to committees, so I'm not exactly sure what the number is today. But it is substantially less than it was last year, I can say that. I think last year we did about 75 bills, and a good portion of them ended up lying on the table as COVID hit us, and a good number of them died. So we'll see some of those bills come back this year. The whole issue about pink cards and blue cards and people testifying, we won't talk about that because we're not going to have a lot of in-person testimony. As far as quorums go, it's not necessary for us to have a quorum in a meeting like this, or we're taking public testimony. The only time we have to have a quorum is when we have an executive session. As far as decorum goes, I would ask you to treat everybody, especially people on the committee with us, or people that are about to testify, with the respect. Please address your fellow committee members as Representative Dolan or Representative Piemonte, and when we're in front of the public, I would ask you to try to avoid referring to each other by your first names, as that will help us with our decorum. But there is a rule about no food or drinks other than water being consumed when the public is present. My discretion on that is I'll enforce the no food, but I will interpret water as water in its dark form that's kind of the color of coffee or tea. So if you have water in that form, I would allow that. When you ask people questions during public testimony, people who are testifying before us, please make sure you use that time to get answers to your questions. That is not a time for arguing with people that come before us or to make statements. When you converse with someone giving testimony, it really should be in the form of a question to get information about whatever the topic is. And if you decide you want to make a speech about something, one of us, myself or Tony, will stop you and ask you to rethink that and see if you can turn that into a question. Now, as I mentioned before, we will need a quorum to move forward with executive session. Now we have a 10 to 9 population in our committee, 10 Republicans, 9 Democrats. So it doesn't get much more even than that. And as you heard at a lot of the opening introductions, people mentioned how pleased they were about how this committee has worked in the past in a bipartisan way. And I agree with that. But let's be clear, there will be from time to time those bills that come up that will be partisan in nature, and we should expect that from time to time there will be partisan votes. Hopefully that is not very often, but it would be, I think, wrong of me not to tell you that your expectation ought to be that will happen once in a while. During executive session, that is a time that is for the committee. Only on rare occasions would I recognize a member of the public during an executive session. If there's a specific issue that the committee is stuck on and that needs clarification, and a public member is present, then I might recognize a member from the public, but you should expect that will be a rare thing. In executive session, tabling is not allowed. So if someone makes a motion to table a bill in executive session, that will be ruled out of order. When you are voting in executive session, or when you are participating in executive session, you may vote on a motion only if you're present when the question was put. In other words, if you're out of the room, either in the bathroom or taking a call or testifying in some other committee, if the question is put to the committee and you return, you will not be allowed to vote on that particular bill unless you're there when the motion was made. If there's a conflict, if you're there for the entire motion and you're in the room, you will be required to vote in executive session unless you have come forth before the meeting and filed a form with the clerk giving your intention not to vote for whatever specific reason you have identified. We will have amendments from time to time in executive session on bills. There can be as many amendments as members submit. However, coming out of committee, we only can have one amendment. So that means that if there are multiple amendments, they will have to be combined into one amendment. Customarily, the vice chair, when we take a roll call vote, the vice chair will vote first and the chair will vote last. That's by custom. and any member of the committee can change your vote before the final vote is announced. So if you vote okay to proceed, and then later decide you want to change that to an ITL vote, inexpedient to legislate vote, you can do that.
Mr. Chair, I have a weird thing happening.
Sure.
I'm seeing Representative Guarino's screen on mine. It suddenly changed into his screen, so I don't know why.
Are you seeing umbrellas?
No, Guarino. Guarino, I'm seeing Representative Joseph Guthrie, Guthrie's screen.
Christine, is that something you can help us with?
It may be that you're in gallery mode, and let me see what I can do. You're not
Got
seeing.
umbrellas.
Yeah,
Umbrellas.
I see a screen of umbrellas too.
Yeah, okay.
I believe Representative Guthrie is sharing his screen.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Here I am. Sorry about that. I don't know if I caused that, but sorry about that.
That's good. That's better now. So the last point before I leave that, just make sure you know that if you vote in executive session to pass a bill or to kill a bill, you can change your vote. That's up to you to make that wish known to me, and then we can change your vote. Now, there are committee reports that have to be published after each executive session vote. The slang for that used to be blurbs, but we try not to use that term anymore. But if that makes you more comfortable, understand that's what it's about. Now, the committee report is supposed to be clear, concise summary of the legislation. And remember that if any of this legislation ends up in court, the court tends to look at those committee reports as legislative intent. So they are important. And if they're argumentative or inappropriate, the speaker will, when they get to his office, he'll call them out. For example, if you're in a minority, writing a minority report, and you put something down like, why is this not a good piece of legislation? Well, the legislators just lost their mind and just voted on something stupid. That won't be allowed to be published, as you would suspect. So it asks you to be thoughtful, write a short paragraph or 3 or 4 lines, whatever you're most comfortable with, but be clear, concise, and complete. Okay, one other thing I wanted to mention was, or a couple of things. One about weapons. You know that there was a rule that was recently changed earlier this month to reallow people to carry weapons in the State House. However, if anyone is observed brandishing a weapon that they bring, they will be excused, and the sergeant of arms will be called. You can carry a weapon, but you can't brandish it, or other words, you can't show it to somebody and with that being interpreted as being a threat. So please keep on the lookout for that. If you feel threatened, or if you feel like someone is brandishing a weapon, please, and I don't notice it, please bring it to my attention, and we'll deal with it. If you don't feel comfortable to bring it to my attention in public, ask for an immediate recess and talk to me on the side, and we'll deal with that. Tech experts. Right now, Christina is managing this this Zoom meeting for us. But as you can imagine, with the number of Zoom meetings being held, the number of folks that can manage them for us is really stretched. So I'm going to throw it out for you to think about. If any of you feel technically competent enough to take over a Zoom meeting like this, and we can free up Christina to do other things, or if she's busy, if she's got multiple meetings on multiple committees to try to manage, we can run these meetings ourselves with the, if any of you feel technically competent to do that, and we can certainly give some short training to get that done. But I know some of you struggle to dial your phone on one end of the spectrum, and others are very capable with computers and software such as this. So I'll let you think about that, and let me know if you'd like to be considered as a tech expert to administer one of these Zoom meetings for us. If you're going to be absent, you don't have to, but I would appreciate a quick email or a text telling me you're not going to attend. It's none of my business if it's for a health reason, but I would just request that courtesy so that if I'm holding a meeting or the start of a meeting looking for attendance of a certain number of people, if I know you're not coming, then we can move forward and not wait. So please let me know. If it's an executive session absence, each caucus has their own rules about looking for substitutes of how you would engage your caucus about identifying your absence and whether or not a substitute will be provided to the committee for that executive session. So I would refer the Democrats to Representative Porter, that if you're going to be absent, I would suspect she'll want to know ahead of time, and then she can decide about finding with her caucus, finding a substitute. The same thing with the Republicans. If you're going to be absent, please let in my case, let Tony Diamante know, and we'll work about getting a substitute.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Sure.
What's the preferred method for contacting you?
You can. That's a good question. Let me suggest that I'm going to send out a contact list of all of us, and what I'll do is ask you to respond back to me. Look at it, say that's okay, or if you have a different way you'd like to be contacted, you want to be contacted through text to a certain cell number, or if you want to be contacted email through your personal email or through your state email, let me know, and I'll do the same. In my case, you can contact me text through my cell phone number or the state, the .us email address. But I'll send that out in the next day or so, and we're going to have some time before we need to get together.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Hi, I have a question as well. I may be premature in asking this question, and I very much appreciate your very clear laying out of the rules and how it goes. But I'm wondering if you're anticipating our committee meeting in person anytime in the future.
Okay, great question, because that was my next topic I was going to get to.
Segue. There you go.
Thanks. Right now, there is policy still in flux, and I ask you to be flexible with that. I know there are a lot of people that are concerned about meeting in person, given the state of the virus and the state of the vaccinations and so forth. So what we're going to be doing is typically in the past, we've had committee meetings Tuesday and Wednesday, and sometimes on Thursday if it wasn't a general session. I understand we're going to have committee meetings now Monday through Friday. That will not mean that you'll be asked to meet more often than you had in the past. It just means that the LOB will be open Monday through Friday because of the following reason. you know that those of you familiar with the LOB, there are dividers, there are hard dividers between committee rooms. And when you pull those dividers back, the committee rooms become double wide. And so we would have committee meetings with those dividers pulled back to promote social distancing. But when you do that, then only half the committees can meet at the same time if their committee room is gone because the other half is being used by another committee. So in order to fill those slots, we're gonna have to have, like, we might be meeting, for example, Mondays and Tuesdays instead of Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Thursdays and Fridays. There'll be a couple of days assigned to us. So we won't be meeting Monday through Friday. It's just that the LOB will be open for meetings. Now, as far as meetings like this, meetings where we're going to have hearings, public hearings, my understanding is that this will be primarily Zoom meetings, that those wishing to testify will testify through electronic means. That is going to be difficult. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, or where they're going to go to Zoom in. But some of us may be in the LOB, but you won't be required to come. If you don't want to come to those meetings, you'll be able to Zoom into those meetings. As far as executive session goes, the early discussion has been that will be different, that because you'll actually be voting during executive session and making policy and making tough decisions, that the original thought was that those meetings should be in person, and people who don't want to come would have to ask for a substitute for their absence. Now, that's not hard policy yet. That's still in flux. I suspect we're going to have an option for a blended type of meeting where people can come in person, or they can choose to Zoom in. But that, I can tell you that decision hasn't been made yet. It has a lot to do with from what I understand, the technology that's being put in place in the LOBs right now. That technology consists of some air circulation filters that have HEPA filters and have UVC lights in them. From what I've been told, they're supposed to cleanse the air in the room 3 times an hour. And with those rooms opened up, with those partitions pulled down, that there's room to be seated at least 6 feet apart. It'd be every other chair or every third chair. But again, that is policy that is still under development, and I don't think the speakers had a readout yet on the technology that they're employing and how well it's going to work and all that stuff. So I would ask you to stay flexible with that. That hasn't been made yet. And as far as our process, I don't see us having a need to meet for the next few weeks. So we still have some time to let this policy settle in, and I'll certainly keep you posted as to how it works out. But I suspect that hearings are going to be generally Zoom meetings, and executive sessions will be blended. That's my expectation, but we'll see. I am not the decision maker. I'm just passing on what I've heard.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much for your long and interesting answer. I'm just going to tell you right up front right now, you will not be seeing me in person until I've been vaccinated twice. That's all.
Okay, so I understand. I am eagerly awaiting my vaccination too. Anyone else have a question?
And you have Representative Maggiore and Representative Porter with their hands raised.
Okay, Representative Maggiore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the difficulty in trying to navigate through all this, and the questions may not have full answers. So I appreciate all that you're doing right now. I'm curious if you have right now a target for when we might have our first hearing or when we're going to begin our work.
Good question. I am thinking 2 to 3 weeks from now. And we'll certainly put a notice out. I want to wait until we see what bills are coming our way first. So, and then we can group them by subject matter. But there is until these policies settle down a little bit. I think it makes sense for us to wait and not try to rush things. And also, especially in the face of some of the concern that people have about the virus.
Thank you.
Was it Christina? Who was next?
Representative Porter, and then Representative Mangiapudi.
Okay, Representative
Thank you,
Porter.
Mr. Chair, and for letting me speak. I just want to make you aware that there are some members of this committee who are restricted by their doctors from being in a public situation like this, and would not be able to attend executive sessions in person. So I know you're in a difficult situation. I just want to make you aware of that, as I'm sure you already are, but I just want to make sure. Some of us just can't come due to living situations or health situations if we're in person. So it would make it hard for us to do our jobs.
Okay, no, thank you. I am aware of that, and I do appreciate it. And Representative Mangiapudi?
Yeah, this is in regards to being in person. I am a diabetic and my doctor strictly prohibits me from going into any in-person meeting. And my husband is a public school teacher and he's in person. And so I have to be very diligent and quarantine myself in terms of my possible exposure. So that would put a lot of constraints. And so I just want to let you know, it's not, I don't want to work, but there are a lot of medical and situational constraints for me to be in person.
Right, I understand that, and thank you for that. And by the way, I also respect the rules around HIPAA, and if anybody has a health issue, I will not pry at you or pry about the issue. I'm really not authorized to ask you about health issues. Anything you volunteer is up to you, but please don't feel obligated to tell me the details of a health issue that's bothering you. I'll also pass your concerns on to the speaker.
I have to stay alive to represent, so that's my constituents' request too. So my constituents.
Yeah, special elections are expensive, and that's a bad joke.
I just did 3.5. I had to get home from Zoom meeting.
Okay, if we have anybody else that has their hand up? Anybody have any question? Does anybody have any questions about what I mentioned about what I call the sausage making, or weapons, or how we deal with those testifying and so forth? Yeah, I had targeted 11:15 to try to wrap this thing up, and we're about 11:20. So if anybody doesn't have any final questions.
Representative Power has put her hand up, and then Representative Mangiapudi.
Okay, Representative Power?
Yep, Power. Thank you, Chairman Dolan. The question that I have as a freshman, and I was just curious to know, when we do have hearings and executive sessions, typically what's the duration of either type of meeting? Thank you.
Well, that's a good question. There is a rule change, or I don't know if it was a rule or a custom change that try to move things along a little quicker this year, because we have so many things that are going to slow us down. Like this meeting in person probably would be probably not more than half of the length of time, because it is longer when you go through these Zoom meetings. But in executive session, we typically will schedule, in my judgment, how much time it's going to take to go through each bill, and we'll often schedule them 15 to 30 minutes apart per bill. But the rule change, or the custom change that is authorized during this session, is that in the previous session, we always wanted to put at least one day between executive sessions and hearings. But this year, we are authorized to conduct an immediate executive session if the situation warrants. For example, I was talking to Representative Porter about this offline. If we see it's apparent to us that the committee is pretty unanimous one way or the other, either to kill a bill or to support a bill, that to wait a day or to wait another week so that it can be published. In fact, I think that's what we did last year. We waited usually the next week, because we wanted it to be in the calendar a certain number of days, just to come back and to vote on something we already knew was pretty much unanimous. The rule change this year is that we can go ahead and do the executive session immediately. I don't think that's going to be that many bills, but if it appears like that's available to us and it speeds things up, then we can do that. Does that answer your question?
In part, thank you. But I was more looking for, when we do have an executive session, is it typically gonna, will we meet for like 3 hours during that day, or is
I see.
5 hours?
The total length of the meeting, that's really going to be driven by the number of bills we have to exec. That in our past, that has gone from one bill that for some reason lagged or was left to kind of clean up, and we would meet for 20 minutes and be done. In other cases, we've met for 4 hours. So it really depends on the workload and what's before us. So before the meeting, I'll try to give you an idea of the opening and the closing of the total meeting time. But I would suspect that if we're going to come to an executive session, that I'm going to really try hard not to call a meeting, and especially if we're at a point where we're meeting in person, to bring people all the way to Concord for 15 or 20 minutes. I'll try to make sure that we're going to have a meeting. It'll be a substantial meeting that is worth the trip. Representative Gilman has her hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just asking you to consider, sometimes we get a lot of written testimony, and it takes a little while to read through it. So having an executive session immediately after a regular session is sometimes, we may miss something, I guess. So
I don't disagree, and Representative Porter and I spoke about this, that if it's not appropriate, especially if there are multiple amendments and there are other things that are happening, written testimony like you talked about, if it's not appropriate, then we won't do it. It just gives us a little more freedom than we had before. It doesn't mean we have to exercise that very often. We can exercise it when it's only appropriate to exercise it.
thank you.
Representative Menchapudi?
Yeah, when can we expect, what days would be allocated? I know you said Monday through Friday, but what day, how soon can we get that kind so that we can plan.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I was hoping I'd have that for this meeting to share with you. So I'm expecting that in the next few days. But again, I'm not the decision maker. I'm waiting to hear, as with the death of the speaker and the new speaker election, there's been a juggling of assignments and the speaker's staff. If you've seen the public notice, so a lot of people in new jobs. So that hasn't helped making some of these early decisions that I was hoping to get. But hopefully, as they get settled in, they'll be these decisions will be more readily apparent and imminent. Any other questions or thoughts? One of the things that I'll say about meeting in person, I learned an awful lot and developed great relationships, I think, with members of the committee in the cafeteria off the tunnel. And so I'm going to miss that, not meeting in person, sitting across the table and sharing lunch with a lot of you. So hopefully, as we can put this virus behind us, we can get back to a more collegiate relationship, face to face, and I look forward to that. So, any final questions before we end the meeting?
Representative Mangiaputi has her hand up.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, I forgot to take it down. You answered my question. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I think that you've done a superb job of leading us on our first Zoom meeting, and I look forward to your continued leadership. My one worry is that I have to call Representative Piemonte, and not just Piemonte. Couldn't I get dispensation on that? He'll explain later. Thank you for your great work.
Well, if he puts his hat on, he becomes much more intimidating looking. So I think that's why he's not wearing it right now. And as far as one last comment, as far as dress code and so forth, if we are in a Zoom meeting, I will just say that there is no specific dress code other than something other than pajamas. Please dress what I'll say appropriately. Men aren't required to wear ties, and the women are not required to wear suits or dresses or whatever. So, but when we get back in person, that we'll be using the same dress code as we use in the Hall of Representatives. And Representative Maggiore doesn't have to wear his crown if he doesn't want to. So please dress appropriately. Remember that we will be Zooming with the public during these public hearings, and don't embarrass yourself or the committee by what you might be wearing or not wearing.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Sure.
Is this how you raise your hand?
No.
Or is there something on
the screen down below at the bottom of the screen? There is an icon to push with your mouse to say raise hand. Do you see that?
I don't have that.
No, it is under participants. So you have to go under participants and you'll see.
Oh, wow. I guess that's intuitive once you know it. Thank you.
Right. Okay. And for those of you who Zoom in on without the video and just doing it, like if you're in the car and you're coming in on your phone or whatever, Christina, can you help me? Is it a *6 to raise your hand?
*6 to raise your hand and *9 to mute and unmute.
Okay. So that's much less intuitive, but you have to kind of memorize that if you want. If you're in your car and you're driving across the state and you're zooming in just over your telephone, you can still raise your hand, but it's *6. And I think it's also *6 again to lower your hand.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Will there be a test at the end of the session?
Yes, there will be a test. And the test will be what your contact information is. So I'll send that out to you. And please send it back, and we'll be all set. And I'll make sure that you're kept up to date. Representative Davis has her hand up.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was trying to unmute my audio. What if we want Representative Majori to wear his crown?
Well, we'll have to take. I think we'll have to take a vote on that.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that happy note, I think I'm going to end the meeting. And like I said, please watch your email and update the list that I send you. Make sure it's current. Make sure your phone number is current and your point of contact is current. And I'll keep that on file. And any questions that you didn't think of during the meeting but still have, please send them to me and I'll try to get right back to you. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was wonderful.